on.
Hey guys, it is time to get started. You failed again. It's right there. No, I'm blaming you. You got me upset before the show. I'm blaming you.
I would have said, welcome to Bollocks this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're in for a good show tonight because I got him all wired up.
Yeah. All right. Lenny, you get to read this read as I pull out the other reads. We're doing that one right there because they are the best, and we are in the Bozard Ford studio.
Excellent. Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine. Their goal is to make sure your time and experience buying a car is stress-free, fun, and enjoyable. Bozard's a family-owned Ford dealership that has been in business since 1949. That's almost as old as Troy. Bozard Ford Lincoln has been recipient of numerous dealer awards, including being ranked #1 automotive dealership in the nation by Dealer Rater, which is tough to say. Dealer Rater. Bozard Ford has also won back-to-back President's Awards, which is the highest honor given by Ford Motor Company. Check them out today online at bozardford.com or go see them in person off of Route 16.
All right. And you get this one right here, too.
Excellent. Shall I go or you go?
No, I got it. I got this.
You ready? You're settled?
I'm on this one. No, I'm not settled. I'm still flustered. All right. Land Title America, the oldest title company serving the oldest city. Stephen Collins, the owner of Land Title, has been working in the title insurance industry here in St. Augustine since 1985, specializing in all your title insurance and closing needs. If you have a title issue, there is no one better. Stay local. Choose Land Title. Give them a call at 904-501-4481, and they're the best because
they give a crap.
There you go. You're up.
Eat, drink, and be Irish at Meehan's Irish Pub and Seafood House, right on the waterfront in downtown St. Augustine. Whether you're craving classic corned beef and cabbage, fresh seafood from the Raw Bar, or our famous bangers and mash, Meehan's is where locals and visitors feel right at home. Grab a pint in our cozy Irish pub, unwind upstairs at Johnny's Oyster Bar with stunning views of the Matanzas River, or kick back in the backyard with tropical vibes and a Caribbean-inspired menu. The pints are cold, the food's unforgettable, and the welcome is always warm. Only at Meehan's.
All right. I don't know if you've heard of these guys or not, but they're pretty awesome. Just got off the phone with the main man there, and that's Mike Davis. When quality matters, trust A.D. Davis Construction, North Florida's expert in high-end homes, commercial builds, renovations, and historic restorations. With over 65 years of experience, their dedicated team delivers craftsmanship you can count on and a relationship built on trust. That's 100% true. That's where they're at.
Sure.
They don't just build buildings. We build confidence with integrity, performance, and results that keep over 85% of their clients coming back. From concept to completion, choose A.D. Davis Construction, where your vision meets our legacy of excellence. All right. It is Thursday. It is the weekend for Bollocks.
4-day weekend.
You have changed your sign. You're planning a revolt.
I'm supporting their secession.
You're planning a revolt.
Can't say that. I don't need people knocking on my door.
No, it's almost treason.
But I'm supporting their secession.
Okay, so
they tried it. And by the way, the mayor was a.
Oh, you hear
sound
that?
down.
Who's new here?
And by the way, the guy who did that was a restaurant owner down in Key West.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It was Sloppy Joe's, wasn't it?
I'm not sure which one, but I know the guy was a restaurant owner.
Yeah.
So a kindred spirit.
Yeah, I think it was Sloppy Joe. All right, but it's Thursday. We got lots of topics, and then we're going to go into our talks and tangents. Mm-hmm. And our talks and tangents are about artificial additives and preservatives that have taken place in recent years. But I went a little further back on what preservation of foods, how it started, and some of those things too. I didn't know if you got
salt,
there.
baby, salt.
Yeah, well,
salt and smoking.
Sun.
Right.
Maybe it was sun first, and then they added the salt and everything else.
And smoke it up. Yeah.
But
otherwise, they never would have found America.
Blake, how you doing back there in the booth, man?
I'm doing great, just doing great. But you guys wasted some of your energy pre-show that we should have had on air because you two being angry equals ratings.
Yeah, it really does help. It helps the ratings.
There's a reason why Stephen A. Smith is the highest paid guy at ESPN. It's not because he has the greatest taste. It's because he's loud.
It's also a reason why ESPN's failing and firing people on a regular basis too.
Mm-hmm. So you mean like Elon Musk?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So without rhyme or reason.
No, there's always a rhyme and there's always a reason.
Yeah.
If you've ever been a boss, there's always a rhyme. You don't get rid of people that make you money. You don't get rid of people that make you money.
All right.
You've been a boss before.
I have.
Hey, do you fire your good people or you fire your bad people?
Kick the chaff, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly
that's
it. You play the chalk. You keep the chalk. All right.
Exactly.
We got a lot of topics to talk about. We got a lot of fun stuff.
And words we can't pronounce for the second half.
Yeah, words we cannot pronounce for the second half. I didn't get into a whole lot of that, but I mean, what we're doing with food, and Blake, I can tell you this. Can you look up the average time it takes for different vegetables to hit our actual stores? Okay, like a cucumber or a potato or a tomato, and how long it's actually been out there from taking it off of the vine or whatever it is until it actually hits the store. The numbers are pretty
Well, it's interesting,
crazy.
you know.
And
Fortunately,
potatoes too, yeah.
refrigerated truck. Well, potatoes you can warehouse for a year. That's less of a problem. But you know, when I buy organic lettuce, there's a harvest date, and you know, it's like usually a week and a half earlier or 2 weeks earlier than you get it in the store. So there is some
I
longevity.
love
Stuff
the
like
fact
that.
you believe that.
What? That the harvest date?
What the harvest date says on it.
Oh yeah.
That's really cute.
And I'm the cynic in the family. Holy shit.
Not today.
Okay.
Not today.
All right. Oh boy. Who riled him up? Blake, did you rile
You
your
riled
father?
me up.
Oh, good.
You're the one who riled me up. You're the one who got me going.
Well, that's because you're wearing your Harvard Crimson. But be that as it may, you brought up cucumbers. There's
All
a
right.
cucumber recall now.
Categories I have. All right. I have Harvard,
Jim Morrison.
and I have Harvard.
Okay. We can do a lot with Harvard.
Blake, which one do you want?
I want Jim Morrison.
Oh, he
God,
he
God love you.
Hey,
God love you.
Blake, what did I say in my argument?
I don't know.
You weren't paying attention?
I had,
He is-
I had
he
to
is
be
not-
on
The person
the
who
show.
pays the bills makes the rules.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was gonna defend him as not the least performer around here.
I'm sorry. I had to pee before the show started, so I
You
had
weren't
to
even
go.
focused.
Good.
No.
Good.
All right, we got Jim Morrison. You've actually been trying to get this story out
Well,
there
it's
for a
actually
while.
Amanda found this and sent it to me, and I thought it was very interesting. It really was. You know, he may or may not still be alive because there's still rumors to the fact that he's alive, and if he was, he'd be 82 years old today. But he's buried in quite a famous cemetery in France, the cemetery of Père Lachaise. And he's buried over in Poets Corner in that cemetery. There's a lot of famous people that are there.
And I've never seen the tomb. Is he actually buried or is he in a monument? A lot of the...
No. Theoretically, it's his gravesite.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
But
his
I didn't
grave.
know if he's actually buried or if it's a lot of...
Well, there's conjecture that he's not dead, so
not even in
he
there.
may not even be in there.
might be coming and going. We don't even know.
Yep.
Okay.
But he died in his bathtub, one of the 27 Club. He died at 27 in 1971. In 1981, a statue, which was basically a bust of his head, was placed on the grave. And that was done on the 10th anniversary of his death. It was stolen in 1988, and it disappeared. It's been missing for 37 years. What I find interesting about this is the bust was done by a Croatian sculptor by the name of Malden Mikulun. And it's a marble bust that weighed 297 pounds. Somebody's schlepping off a 297-pound head of Jim Morrison.
300-pound. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's hugely heavy.
Yeah. That's
And
like that's like trying to carry away Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. It was Brock Lesnar.
Huh? You don't know Brock Lesnar?
I don't, but he's a very large person.
Yeah,
I
he's a
presume.
very large person. He's a WWE wrestler.
That's
who's
why I wouldn't know
known
him.
as the Beast,
Okay.
and he looks like the Beast. And not to go off on a tangent, but
It's Thursday. We're allowed.
You need to check his combine numbers when he was going in. It was kind of crazy. So, but go ahead.
Okay. So
You're carrying off Brock Lesnar. Got it.
the financial fraud unit in France did a raid on a house for something completely unrelated to what they ended up finding. But it was financial fraud, and they went in and they raided this apartment in Paris and found the head of Jim Morrison.
Okay.
Now, it was beat up a little bit. It had a broken nose, and there was graffiti all over it, which was not new because when it was on his grave, the nose was broken and the graffiti was there. So they found it
That's how they
identically.
knew it was exactly.
Yeah, they found it, right. So they found it as it was. and they brought it back. But since 1981, when this was stolen, the grave had been under video surveillance, and there was an armed guard placed there. People will show up; they'll leave them shots of whiskey, they'll drink there. It's been a gathering place for people and Doors fans in particular for years and years and years.
So if he'd have been 82, he was born in 43.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just trying to do the math there and thinking where Elvis would be right now. Elvis was born in 36.
He'd be very old.
Yeah. So he'd be up there.
You know, if he was alive today, what would he be doing?
Yeah.
Scratching on the lid of his coffin.
Yeah.
It's great because you can put anybody who is theoretically dead in that joke. Maybe a tasteless joke, but a joke nonetheless.
But you're saying Jim isn't even in his
Well,
coffin?
there's a lot of conjecture that Jim Morrison wasn't dead, and he faked his own death. I don't know that there's a lot of corroboration for that because it's not like anybody's seen him working in a 7-Eleven in Arizona.
Yeah, like Elvis.
Correct.
Now wait, hold on. Didn't we already talk about Morrison's headstone when we did what was it? Famous tombs and gravestones back on May 16th of last year.
Possibly.
We possibly did. So all right.
Well, it's because it's a very very active cemetery spot.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's like the second or third visited. I mean, behind the Louvre and
In Paris,
the Eiffel Tower, it's
yeah.
like the third most visited attraction.
Yep.
In Paris.
Yep.
So
Yep. But now they're deciding what to do with it, to return it there. I mean, they have video surveillance, they have guards there, so if they return it, it's fine. And I'm sorry, Blake, can you find a picture of that? Because it should be relatively easy. Kind of looks like him with a chipped off nose and a lot of
of
the bust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
They found the bust in a bust when they went to raid the place.
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
You find what you're looking
Yep. But that's
But,
just
I
it
mean,
was
there-
very interesting.
for. So, with this, did the people reveal how they ended up with this in their possession?
There was no further explanation of how this ended up in the apartment that was raided by the financial fraud police.
Okay.
So, I've been following it for a couple of days now because I think it was interesting. And thank you, Amanda, for that, by the way. I'm not quite sure.
Mhm.
They haven't expanded on it other than the fact that it was the original one because of the broken nose and the graffiti, which matched what was there at the time.
Mhm.
And, it's pretty fascinating.
Oh, there you go.
And it's been there for 37 years.
That looks like nothing like Val Kilmer. So
Who's also dead, sadly.
yes,
Yeah.
he is 300 pounds. Somebody just walked off with that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's pretty wild.
that was either Andre the Giant or a couple people in a hand truck.
Exactly. All right. Here are my categories, and
Okay.
I actually have two. Like I have Harvard.
Okay.
You have what you're new and you're bringing into the mix.
I had something around here. I forgot because I thought we'd get through the day.
I thought you had two items.
I did. Well, I'll go Harvard with you.
Okay. You're doing Harvard, and Gypsy Cab.
Okay.
That's my third category.
All right.
And we got to cover the Gypsy Cab.
I think we should do that.
So,
Blake picked Gypsy Cab, right.
we'll see which one Blake picks. Lean towards Gypsy Cab.
Right.
All right. Then I'll go with Gypsy Cab then.
Hey, how did he know that?
I think it just works out so well sometimes.
How did he know that? That's amazing. All right, a press release went out today.
Oh.
Saying that Gypsy Cab, after 42 years,
Wow.
is going to be no more after like June 6th.
Great run.
And it's a great run. Congratulations to everybody who's had Gypsy Cab,
Right.
with Ned and Pat and Frank and everybody who's been a part of Gypsy Cab. Thank you for serving us so well and giving us character and giving us a home for trivia for the last probably 4 or 5 years now, right?
And good food.
And good food. The Troy Burger will be no more. We're all a little sad about that.
Well, we can take it with us.
We can take it with us somewhere. But it another excellent St. Augustine restaurant is moving into that location.
They're expanding. Yep.
The Purple Olive. The Purple Olive does a lot of catering, and they have I think a very confined kitchen where they're at.
Mhm.
So it makes sense to move into a bigger place. I mean, they're going to
Yeah.
have almost twice as many seats as what they did at their other location. So congratulations to Purple Olive, and congratulations to Frank.
Yeah.
But I'm not kind of sad. I am really sad. Yeah, we got to find another place that does cheese bandini.
Okay.
And we got to find another place that does gypsy chicken. Those are two things that I think I'm going to miss the most.
Ned's still a youngster. He should go open another restaurant for somebody.
Well, someone said, Troy, buy it. No. Troy doesn't need another job. Troy does not need another job. Ask Blake. I've been grumpy ever since I had him one. So congratulations. If you have not heard, you need to get the gypsy in the next couple of weeks. You got about 2.5 weeks left.
Mm-hmm.
And get over there and, get one of those great salads and that salad dressing. And, the iconic, I would call that iconic salad dressing.
Absolutely. People come in to just get that for sure. I'd like a quarter dressing to go.
Yep.
We were talking about this. We're teasing about a couple things yesterday, but one of the greatest feelings in the world is buying or opening your first restaurant or a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And the second best feeling is when you sell that restaurant.
Yeah.
So.
I can tell you, I was always an investor, and I got 3 out of 4 under my belt that were pretty good.
Okay.
The one that wasn't good, I sold for $1. So I had to sell it because it took me off of everything that came after that. So I had to sell it.
So I always keep $1 in my pocket.
Keep $1 there. You can buy my next restaurant.
Okay.
So. If you have any gift cards, get over there.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
All right. All right.
Yeah, no prizes on the last day of trivia, or you spend it that night.
Yeah.
Right.
I have on my list Harvard.
Okay.
You have on your list
Harvard.
And I have on my list Ivy League.
Okay.
Which one are you going to go with, Blake?
Harvard.
Which Harvard?
Lenny's.
Doesn't
make him feel better about it.
No. It's just nothing's going to make me feel good until they,
I'm wearing red, so
Harvard Crimson, baby.
I'll just blend in with my shirt as we do this story.
As you get into a fit of pique.
Yes.
QUE.
Yes.
Okay.
And when I came in, you said you changed it to the Conch Republic because you're seceding. I'm assuming.
I'm encouraging the Conch Republic to continue their path towards separation from the United States.
And you're going to move to that area.
Well, it's a little.
Have you seen the real estate prices down there?
Exactly.
Woo!
Yeah. It's a little.
Good luck with that.
It's a little exposed. There's no more FEMA, so it's a little exposed out there.
Good luck with that.
Hurricane season is there. Yeah, we like where we live.
So you are angry.
I'm offended
at the current administration.
Correct.
And why are you angry at the current administration with Harvard?
Because they're strong-arming Harvard in particular and other universities to do their bidding or just, capitulate and not be a free-run educational institution. It's bad enough that
If they were free-run, why would they use so much of the U.S. dollars?
For the betterment of society.
That's according to Harvard.
It's according to the results they found.
Did you see what our second part of our story is about and the preservatives and what it's doing to us?
Yeah.
From their science?
Yes.
Okay. Harvard.
Well, that's the FDA.
If you don't like it, don't take the money and then don't bitch about it when we ask you to do something.
Ask you to
Harvard.
do what? Ask you to do what? Their bidding?
What bidding are they asking the Harvard to do?
Not to accept foreign students because God forbid.
Not to accept all foreign students. No, it was not to. It wasn't just open to all foreign students. It was to give priority to U.S. students, which is not the same as not to accept all foreign students.
No.
It was not.
This is another backdoor attempt at immigration control or getting rid of immigrants.
They asked Harvard
to not accept foreign students. No, they asked
Harvard to give a preference to U.S. students. They did not ask them to not accept.
Excuse me, is that affirmative action?
Are you a fan of affirmative action?
I thought the Supreme Court said you can't do that anymore.
Are you a fan of affirmative action?
Yes, I think there should be a little bit of help for people who can't get there.
You should have a problem with this then.
I have a problem.
If you're a fan of affirmative action, because I remember you bitching about when we got rid of affirmative action. So you are talking out of both sides right now because you said you're a fan of affirmative action. Yes, this is a type of affirmative action.
Leveling the playing field.
If we're giving you U.S. money, then you should give preference to U.S. students. If you don't like that, don't accept the money and run your own.
As opposed
and
to
that is not saying don't accept any. They did not say that. They said give preference to U.S. students.
As opposed to the U.S. students who aren't paying for their education, as opposed to the foreign students that are paying full freight to go to Harvard?
How Harvard's able to do that is through their huge-ass endowments.
Yes, it's one of the largest in the world.
Yeah, and a lot of that money came from the U.S. government.
I thought it came from very good investing.
Yeah, very good investing.
Yeah.
Hey, write us a check again.
Well,
write us a check again.
Well, gee.
Because there's so many, there are a lot of presidents that went to Harvard.
There's a lot of
presidents that went to Yale. Most Ivy League schools are in that same situation. Very few Ivy League schools require U.S. citizens that qualify to pay a tuition.
Yeah, I don't know if Cornell got there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dartmouth has. It's Harvard,
but,
Yale, Columbia.
But they still give quite a bit of a discount than to a U.S. student than they do others. But what was asked of Harvard?
Yeah, it was keep foreigners out of the country.
No,
that's what this fascist government wants.
That's not true.
It's true.
No, that's you.
Oh, he's closing the door of anybody who's not white.
That's you.
If you're not white, you're not welcome here.
Not true at all.
Yeah. What about South Africa?
My gosh.
Oh my God, genocide? That's not true. He's lying out of his ass.
What are you talking about with South Africa? What are you talking about?
Trump
you went from Harvard to South Africa. Stay on the argument you just lost before you lose your second one.
This one.
Yes, you did.
The president is making up stories about genocide in South Africa.
So is Harvard. Harvard's making up stories. They're the ones that's accepting money for all. Who do you think's paid for all their research? And they're like,
and how does this research benefit?
Huh? I don't know. We're going to talk about the preservatives they
exactly.
created. You want to see what hypocrites Harvard actually is.
Well, that's just the foolish nature of just the FDA.
Now that we jump from South Africa to Harvard to South Africa. What are you talking about with
President Trump sat in the Oval Office with the president of South Africa and basically claimed white genocide in South Africa. He showed a video of 1,000 crosses lining a street and said, that's a mass grave of white people. Okay, and they're looking at him going, what the hell are you talking about?
I have not seen that.
It was crosses that were put there for a funeral procession for a couple of people that were killed who were white people. Mm-hmm. And then he said it's 1,000 graves of white South Africans that were murdered.
Genocide?
He's calling it genocide. He's saying there's a white genocide. I
need you to fact check that.
Please go right ahead.
Please fact check that one.
Get the interview yesterday in the Oval Office.
The social media that goes from both sides.
This is coming out of his mouth.
You know the word extremist?
The man is delusional.
Yeah.
You know the man has no grasp of reality or facts. Facts that exist, as opposed to what he says.
He's our president, and you didn't have enough damn people to vote against him. I didn't vote for him.
That's because Elon Musk bought votes. And that's because Trump promised things that he's not going to deliver.
My dear God, leave the conspiracies to the right side. At least the left side has some compassion. What you're saying today is making the left sound like imbeciles. And that's the extremist of where we talked about extremists jumping on the hate. So
it's not hate, it's reality. It's not hate. I don't hate him. I just think he's out of his mind.
Okay. That completely sounded rational.
Because he makes up stuff. Is there anything that this man says that's based in reality?
Is there anything in the dossier that was real? That was made up by the Clintons? Is there anything in that dossier that was proven to be 100%
So we're going back to, it doesn't matter what's happening now, but what they did, let's stay in today. Let's stay in the hearing. Let's stay in the here and now.
I agree. I don't like him as a human being. But I do not.
But you can't play but.
No, I'm not playing
but. Whataboutism. I'm not doing whataboutism.
You are.
I'm saying the man's not grounded in reality.
You are. You're taking the side of Harvard, who's accepting money from the U.S. government that has all the money in the world, and the Negro College Fund doesn't have the money.
And Trump ain't going to give it to him.
We'll find out about that.
Yeah. He might have to do it now just to prevent the fact that he's whitewashing everything.
Yeah. No, he's not whitewashing anything. And that's.
Oh, yeah?
No.
He just took money away from an African-American museum in Boston. He wants to close the National Museum of African History.
We're throwing it up here. What are the details of why? What are the details of why? Wait. That seems to always leave the left of why. No, we're doing it because now let's make it a racist thing. That is what extremists do because of hate. Tell me the reason why. Tell me the true reason why that's happening. You know I don't like this man as an individual, but to call him an imbecile, he's not. You cannot do that. He's the president of the United States. He made himself $1 billion, and that you don't get that if you're an imbecile. So it just doesn't happen.
Come on, CNN. Now you're making me pay for shit.
CNN. Oh my gosh, you just did that.
No, they're making me pay for stuff.
Yeah. How dare them? Them fascists.
It's all CNN went behind a paywall, which is ridiculous. I'm trying to find that article about the place in Boston.
Yeah. And Josh, thank you. He said Trump already gave him the money when he was president last time.
So basically, right now, it basically says no. There's not official genocide going on right now. There's like small political groups within South Africa that says some extremist stuff that are in government. But however, though, the current government does not endorse like the small government and basically says like
no. I wanted to hear if Trump said there was a genocide.
Yes.
He actually made the statement that there is a genocide going on
more than once.
And he actually showed a video to the South African president while they were in the Oval Office together.
Of all the crosses on the road.
He's following the social media also.
Well, it's whoever put a bug in his ear last.
Now there's a thing going on where Elon Musk has his Grok, the XAI thing. Grok admitted so basically like Twitter's like chatbot. The Grok admitted to a user that the administrators of the chatbots told them to push the white genocide to users to say, yes, there is a white genocide in South Africa.
Well, it helps the Proud Boys be more proud of what they do. Yeah. Okay, so for 60 years, Boston's Museum of African American History has transported people to the past, letting visitors see 200-year-old...
Slow down where people can actually hear what you're saying.
Well, I'm amped up.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So people actually hear what you're saying.
Fine. I know. It's the South. They can't keep up with me. I know. I got to talk slow.
And there you go.
Right.
There you go right there, Ivy League. And that's what the Ivy Leagues think. Everybody in the South is ignorant.
No,
you do. You do.
No, just talk slower. It's just a much slower pace.
You do. And every time we do business with you guys, you ended up getting your ass kicked so many times. Why do you think so many New Yorkers are living in Florida?
1864?
Yeah.
Taxes.
Yeah.
Straightforward taxes.
Or it's northern aggression.
Right, northern aggression. Yeah, we were the aggressors. Yeah. We were the ones who went out to Fort Sumter.
Wait. You said you were seceding. What did they do in '63?
Yeah, well.
Okay, all right then. So
right.
I'm gonna
how'd that work out for him?
I'm gonna charge you for
how'd that work out for him? Okay.
All right, so start over. For
60 years, Boston's Museum of African American History, this is just in Boston right now, as opposed to the National Museum of African American History, which he also would like to close, has transported people to this past, letting visitors see 200-year-old meeting house to see where abolitionists like Frederick Douglass spoke, also here in St. Augustine, and walk through halls where the young black soldiers once rallied to fight in the Civil War. But recently, the museum's history programs for school children were put at risk after the Trump administration canceled its federal grant, saying in a letter that the funding no longer serves the interest of the United States. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to educate people about black history in the United States because it goes against the history.
Who wrote that?
The Trump administration canceling the grant.
No, who wrote the article?
Who wrote the article?
Yeah.
Piper Hudspeth, Blackburn, and Sunland Sever.
From what publication?
CNN. Well, it's the article
not left-leaning at all.
I
guarantee you there's more to it than just that.
Well,
I guarantee you if we go to presidents that have supported the United Negro College Fund and given more money than any other president, guess which one's going to be number one?
You think Donald Trump?
Guess which one's going to be number one? He got a National Achievement Award.
Who?
Donald Trump.
Achieved something nationally?
Yes, a National Achievement Award from the NAACP for his contributions to help the black Americans.
When was that?
It's 12.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. It was like 2012.
So he's made a hard right turn.
Yeah, come on, man.
What?
People don't do that.
Well,
gosh, dang
people
it.
don't do that?
You don't change
How come he's
stripes?
only letting white people into the country and he's not letting other genocidal people?
Are you kidding me?
No,
right
I'm
now?
not.
You think what's happening with the illegal immigration in the United States
Legal
is
immigration.
because they're white. You think that is the reason why?
Yes, those poor persecuted. He thinks there's persecution of white people. Are white people being persecuted? in the United States?
No one's being persecuted. We're still the greatest country, except for the crazy-ass people that live on both sides of the extreme, which you are currently on right now today. And that's what's hurting the country. If we can stay somewhat in the middle and say, all right, let's fix all our problems and stop fighting with each other.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
That would be a beautiful, beautiful
Why
thing.
don't we start that in Congress and Senate?
Before he opens his mouth, you already think he's a fascist and an idiot.
By definition.
And we don't get he's not by definition, by opinion.
Please.
That is by opinion.
What's the
100%.
definition of a fascist? And what's the administration
doing? Why don't you tell me, and you tell me how it fits into your mindset of that? Calling our president a fascist makes you an extremist.
All right.
Right there with Mark Milley.
Yeah.
All right.
And General McSally. And General Kelly.
I can't believe you're making me defend the president of our United States, and that's what. Go ahead, Blake.
I'm talking about three of the most
Blake's
most,
getting in there.
All right.
Awarded military leaders call him a fascist.
All right, I do have a point though, because there's one thing that a lot of like dictators start off with is targeting the media. So why do you think then Trump is trying to sue CBS News, ABC News, and then like all of the other organizations that they reported on Trump, but then afterwards they get sued by the president of the United States?
Yeah, him suing. I'm telling you right now, I do not agree with everything he does. But to just throw the headlines out there and not give the why and not how this is happening and not give the full story.
According to him, African-American history is not in the best interest of the United States.
Because he didn't fund those two items. And CNN has jumped on that.
That's just today that he's pulling back funding there.
That means we should just give it to Eatonville because somebody complained and wrote an article that Eatonville deserves it more than us.
No.
That's just BS because the why is what's important.
Why? Because he doesn't think African-American history is in the best.
That's your opinion.
That's what he said. It's not my opinion. It's his words. You can't blame this on me.
CNN, who's definitely not left or leaning.
Oh, so when it's in quotes and it's coming out of his mouth, then it's all of a sudden it's leftist propaganda?
It's in his...
Seriously.
Yeah,
okay,
it wasn't taken out of context at all.
It's quotes.
Why did so many African Americans
He
vote
said
for
genocide and because they were led down that proverbial Shakespearean primrose path.
Okay, so now you're a racist.
I'm a racist.
Because you just said they weren't smart enough to make a decision.
I didn't say that.
See how easy that was?
I said they were misled.
See how easy that was?
Yeah.
That's what's happening in our world. That's what's happening in our world. Okay? We take those words, we turn them against us. I just took your words.
Thank you.
And I just turned it into you being a racist right then, didn't I? That's how easy it is.
No, you misinterpreted what I said.
Oh.
Which is different than this is different than music.
You don't think that's happening?
Not when he's saying it verbatim.
Gosh. Yeah, well, you just said it verbatim that they basically weren't smart enough to make their own decision.
I'm saying they were sold a bill of goods.
Just saying. That's how easy it is.
So you want to know what the definition of fascism is?
Please.
A populist political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and forcible suppression of opposition.
So that's impossible for him to be a fascist if he's president.
Absolutely not.
We have three branches. You can't be a dictator here in this country.
Well, he's already forced the Senate and the judiciary. What you want to talk about? You want to get into weaponization?
He forced it?
You want to get into?
He forced it?
Yeah.
Those people were elected. Those people were elected by the people in their region.
Right. And now are fearful of a primary that's put out by Trump. Because if you don't do what I say, we're going to primary you.
That's on them not doing the right thing.
Well, that's them on having no backbone.
That's them.
He's certainly entitled to go do that.
That's on them for not doing the right thing.
But they're afraid of him and his populist movement.
Yeah.
So and
I can't believe I'm having to defend Donald Trump this hard because you went that far that left.
I went to the reality of the fact that the man's a fascist. Of course it is.
It's not reality.
Sure
you can't call him a fascist because it's not even possible in this country. Actually, you're allowed to because we are in this country.
Yeah, well, when they come knocking on my door tomorrow, I'll remind you of that.
That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Let's hope not.
Now, they might kill our algorithms because of this, but that's okay too. Because we're telling the truth, your truth and my truth, and that's how it is. So, okay, we need a drink.
I brought a bottle, and it's overproof.
You brought a bottle. I'm taking a sip. Oh man, All right, are we ready to talk about how awful the food industry is?
Absolutely.
And are we getting into pharmaceuticals too? Because I mean,
no, we didn't. I didn't do pharmaceuticals. You can, but man, I got 2 pages of this nonsense.
All right. So, if anybody in the comments is out there, you know, you can just throw in whatever you want to throw in there. All right, history of preservation of preservatives in foods. Okay. The history of artificial preservatives is marked by significant development in food preservation technology. The first deliberate use of food additives was likely, what'd you say earlier? Salt.
Yes.
So you were salt to preserve such things as fish and meats, which works by dehydration, which is what they use the sun for,
right?
To limit the bacterial growth. The 19th century saw the development of tin canning, which combined sealing food in an airtight container with heat sterilization. The technology revolutionized food preservation, allowing a long storage of food. However, the use of artificial preservatives has been subject of controversy due to the potential health risk.
Mm-hmm.
The FDA has been instrumental in regulating food additives, ensuring their safety and proper use in food products. All right. So that's basically what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
yeah, and it's horrific.
I am leaning on your expertise.
Okay.
Because you know more about food than about anybody I know. Except I did see you using Sweet and Low.
Yeah, saccharin.
The other day.
Yeah.
So
those laboratory rats in Canada are still running strong.
Yeah. they're still on the move.
That's it.
All right. So as a chef, what was your not touching those, never going to use those? What was your not go-to, like you felt as the most dangerous? I hear about GMOs and stuff like that and all of that. Explain to me what that is, like a no GMO food.
Well, it's genetically modified organism. And it's in a lot of things. As a matter of fact, I look at a box because I was looking at some of these things. Who was it? Little Debbie was one of the things that uses some of the banned substances that they won't allow in Europe. Mm-hmm. So I had a box of our favorite Nutty Buddy at home, and I looked to see, and it wasn't as bad as I expected, though there's some issues there. But they are GMO.
Don't you ruin my Nutty Buddy?
Well, that's why I didn't want to. I checked for you. It's better than I expected,
right.
actually.
Yeah, I gotta have it. I gotta have that. I might have an addiction. I'm not gonna lie.
That's okay. But they have bioengineered food in Nutty Buddy. It's probably the wheat that they use. Okay. Because that's the most common. Wheat and corn is the most common bioengineered foods.
Survive longer. Right?
And it goes back and forth because there's some legislation that says that if you're using bioengineered food, it needs to be listed on your packaging. Mm-hmm. But there was an attempt to prevent that from happening from the bioengineered food people. Mm-hmm. You know, the food lobbyists it's ridiculous. Pepsi spends $9 million a year on lobbyists for food lobbyists. The food lobbyists are the people that tell you that everything is good, and it's crazy. So nearly 99% of those food chemicals, you know, there's more than 10,000 chemicals that are allowed for use in food sold in the United States. Not in Europe, not in Canada, not in the EU. Nearly 99% of those introduced since 2000 were approved by the food and chemical industries and not by the FDA. So, and the FDA is undergoing a whole lot of changes. And this Make America Healthy Again is not such a bad thing, you know. So, you know, there's some good that's going on with Bobby Kennedy Jr. There's some crazy stuff that's going on with Bobby Kennedy Jr. But, you know, Make America Healthy Again is fine. Taking food dyes out is a good thing. You know, what happens is there's no process for reevaluation in the United States. If something was approved in 1940, there's no process to reevaluate it. So yellow number 5 food dye was last reviewed in 1969, and it hasn't been reviewed since.
I was 2.
Right? Red 40 in 1971. And these are some of the ones that are being, you know, that is banned in the EU, but still legal in the United States. Blue 1, blue 2, green 3. I feel like I'm in a Dr. Seuss book. Mm-hmm. Red 30 and red 40. Yellow 5 and yellow 50.
What are these color additives? I mean, these are kind of color additives.
They're food dyes.
Yeah, they're food dyes. They're more additives than actual preservatives, right?
Correct. Yeah, these are just
the additives.
Things that makes things bright and colorful. Yeah. Your Fruit Loops,
And one of the things I saw is, I guess, salmon. If you didn't do the additives and all that stuff, when you got a piece of real salmon, it would come out almost like a dingy gray.
Well, not so much, but salmon. A lot of it's what the farm raised salmon is fed affects the coloration of the fish.
Okay.
So because wild caught salmon is not artificially colored.
Okay. So it's the farm raised salmon, which is probably what 50-60% of what we eat.
Could be. Yeah. But it depends on what they feed them.
Mm-hmm.
If they feed them marigolds, things of that nature, it affects the color of the flesh.
Okay.
But wild-caught salmon is, salmon colored.
All right. So here's my question, and you're a chef, and I'm just hitting you with these. All right. Tilapia,
right,
is farm raised.
It's a goldfish.
It's a Korean fish, right? It's like basically a pretty catfish.
It's
it eats pretty much whatever you throw down there, right?
Well, yeah, tilapia, but they're farm raised. It's not wild caught tilapia. They grow a lot of it over in Asia, but they go back because there's basa. You're thinking of basa is a Vietnamese catfish.
It's a Vietnamese. I thought tilapia was Korean.
Maybe, but it's a Carolina fish.
Can you check that for me, please?
Tilapia is like a goldfish. It's like a koi.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what a lot of times when you see like fish sandwiches and some of those things,
sure,
they use tilapia.
Yeah. Well, it's a mild white fleshed fish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. There was something that I was gonna that reminded me.
Just to confirm, what with tilapia, what was the question again?
Where's the origin of a tilapia?
Okay.
But it's their portion size. You can get them. They freeze well. They hold well. Some people have used to use tilapia as a St. Peter's fish, which it's not.
It's a Nile River fish.
A Nile River fish.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like Nile River perch, which is good eating, by the way. Nile River perch.
When they say tilapia is the catch of the day, I don't go back to that restaurant.
Right. Well, it's not caught. It's grown.
That's what
it's a farm. Tilapia is farmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's a farmed fish.
Okay. So,
so
the origin is the Nile?
Is it a Nile River perch?
It's only just said like the Nile River is like more based in was what like basically like originated like around Sudan and Egypt. So it didn't really say like where exactly in the Nile River, but so I can find.
He's not letting Sudanese into the country.
Yeah. How did that fish get in?
South Sudan. No, wait, hold on.
Is it because it's a white fish? Is that what you thought?
Pretty much.
There actually was a conspiracy theory about that when Rubio announced it, because it was announced the same day of the Final Four match between Florida and Duke. And Duke's best and second best player at the time, besides Cooper Flag, was a player from South Sudan.
Right.
So everyone's joking like, is he going to get deported mid game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't he come out for the second half? Because he's in CCOT.
All right, and there is a Florida red tilapia also.
Okay.
Hybridization.
Okay.
So hybridization.
They cross-fertilized
but that's one of the things, and it looks like it's saying ancient Egypt. It was a staple of ancient Egypt.
I didn't realize the Nile River perch was a completely different fish. Like, it's a gigantic.
Nile River perch is good eating fish. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, here, let me pull a photo.
What is your favorite fish?
None.
None? You don't like any fish?
I'm a Pisces. I find it a little bit cannibalistic.
You don't eat any fish at all?
I don't eat a lot of fish. Okay. I will eat fish if I know who's cooking it or where it was sourced.
Welcome to the club, Lenny.
Yep. Yeah. When I, take out my put my elitist hat on and go to some of the best restaurants in the country, I will eat fish at Le Bernardin, which is primarily a fish restaurant. That's when I take out a bank loan to go there. Actually, Barry Honan worked for Le Bernardin.
He was a sous there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I would trust that restaurant for fish. I trust my friend Andy Pacelli when he had his restaurant in New York. I would eat fish there. If there's a fisherman cooking, Tom Colicchio's a fisherman. Dave Pasternak's a fisherman. I would trust their restaurants for fish, but I'm not a big fish eater.
Okay.
Yeah. I like tuna.
Okay.
I like a good poke.
So when you eat sushi, what do you eat?
Rarely salmon, tuna.
So you stick
Escalar.
stick to the basics.
Yeah.
No, I like a good pompano.
Julie likes Spanish macaroni. Pompano's a tough fish to cook.
Yeah, they do an excellent job at not one of our restaurants that we have on our list, but still St. Augustine restaurant, the Columbia.
Okay.
So they do an excellent job with that.
Grilling pompano is a great way to do it, but it's a tough fish to cook properly.
Mm-hmm.
I've had experience cooking pompano, and it's a challenge. It's a challenging fish to do right.
Mm-hmm.
All
right.
I mean, I've also worked with a lot of fish, and I don't want to skeeve people out, but I've found a lot of things in swordfish, tumors and such, and it's people are not going to go home and eat their swordfish tonight.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And that's too. I like a flaky fish.
Right. Sure.
And a swordfish is more of a hearty.
Yeah.
Kind of a steak. You can do a swordfish steak almost.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So which is great, and it makes a great kebab. But I've seen a lot of things in the swordfish I've cooked. I'll leave it alone because I don't want to ruin.
We don't
want to ruin people's dinners.
No, we're not the jungle here. So, did you have to read the jungle?
Yeah.
When you were growing up?
Oh yeah.
Like, did you have to read the jungle?
No, I never had.
And everyone should, but then we'll all become vegetarians.
Yeah. I can tell you this. My dad was a butcher. I grew up in the butcher shop, and anytime I had to go to work, I had to go to work in the butcher shop. If I needed extra money for a bat or a glove or something like that, I had to go work in there. And they used to ground beef, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, I only do ground sirloin. I only do ground round. I only do ground chuck." They have their own particular, and all that is the fat content,
right?
And within the meats, but in the 70s and 80s, they would send frozen. I'm not even sure what animal it came from, and it came in like long, almost cylinder like red meat.
Yeah, we come in a tube.
It was a shank. No, not talking about the tube itself. That's the ground meat. That's how it comes out of the grinder.
Right.
So they just tubed it straight out of the grinder. But it was frozen meat that would be put into the fresh cut to make the ground beef. Well, this is when
it's an extender.
This is this was when we made it actually at the butcher shop.
Okay.
Not right now. It's made in some factory. It's shipped to Publix or Winn-Dixie. It gets its USDA stamp and it does all that. This is where it was made directly in the butcher shop, and there was shank meat that Winn-Dixie did, the beef people did, and it was just the additives that you put in. It made it look redder, and I'm not even sure.
Well, they'll put blood. They'll add beef blood to ground beef too to make it look redder.
I mean, that's what it was. It was basically frozen beef blood along with some meat in it,
right?
And that's what the ground beef was. The ground beef we get now, and the way the USDA, that's one of the companies. When I was doing this, the USDA came out looking pretty good as far as the meats go, and how the research I did today. I was like, okay, I want to see who gets the good grades. And the USDA and most of the red meats, the chickens have some steroids in them.
Yeah.
And the pork and all of that, and the way that it's processed and the way the USDA handles the meats is pretty good. What I can tell, from my research. The thing that bothered me was the vegetables and the fruits and how long it takes to get from off the vine to actually in the store before you even get it, in the what they put in those. Blake, were you able to find that?
Well, that's why farm to table is so important,
the length
because
of the distance of how long it takes from to get like a regular
head of lettuce,
broccoli or lettuce.
So I wasn't
from Arizona to here.
So I wasn't able to find like a specific link like that just lists like all of them all at once. I'm not sure which website you got that off of. So. But I was able to find like so like the two that I have was carrots and potatoes. So carrots roughly take like 70 to 80 days to like mature and harvest, and then after they harvest, they can be stored up to several months in cold storage. Then like a few months after that, they can be shipped off to the stores.
Well, look at potatoes and apples, and that's gonna craze you.
It's 6 months for a carrot. Yeah, what I just heard.
Then
Well, I mean, he started with the time it takes to grow it to get it to be harvestable.
Yeah, but I was just taking it from the warehouse, and it said several months, and then it would get to this. It would still would.
Well, it's a good thing you're sitting down because potatoes can be warehoused for over a year.
Yeah,
apples as well.
No, and if you can find tomatoes, lettuce, and like broccoli, I'd like to see what those numbers are too on average. And I think cucumbers is one that's really.
Well, it's funny you keep bringing up cucumbers because there's just a recall. There was a farm in South Florida that had some salmonella issues with their cucumbers, and there was a recall, and their expiration date is still in the middle of this week. So that's a problem there.
All right, and Kelly brought this up, and you brought it up earlier, and we're almost out of time. One of the more dangerous things, and I think that's affecting the obesity within the United States right now is the enriched wheat.
And there's a lot of people think that the people that have gluten issues and gluten allergies is the fact that how we handle our wheat causes a lot of the issues. And, you're not getting gluten problems in Europe as much because of the flour that they use over there. It's our flours and our, the wheat gets milled into flour. And there's a lot of people that think that that's causing a lot of the celiac problems and the digestive issues and the gluten intolerance is because of the wheats that we're using here, as opposed to the semolina flours that are used over in Italy. So you pay your money there, but
yeah. So I mean, I saw some of the wheat stuff, and I can tell you right now, when I did go gluten free, I went gluten free for 2 years. I had great energy. I kept my excess weight came off.
Right.
Because I wasn't eating pizza, wasn't eating cookies.
How about your joints? Because did you have any issue with your joints?
Well, I've always had issues with my my shoulders.
Okay.
Because I have 2 partially torn rotator cuffs, so I've always had issues with that. But that's pretty much always been. I've never had really a problem except in areas where I have injuries.
Right.
So even though my grandmother was arthritic,
right,
I only have inflammation in areas where I've done damage to myself.
So did you notice any relief when you cut out gluten?
I really didn't in my joints, but energy level, my body fat level, my baby Buddha that I have now, none of that existed.
And you're not a beer drinker, so
yeah, and none of that existed during the time when I was gluten free.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's some things
it's hard to live without pizza.
Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. I love Augie's too much. I can't give him up. I'll keep my Buddha just so I can hang with Augie.
How many they can fit for trivia?
Huh?
I said, how many can he fit for trivia? He's closed on Mondays.
Yeah. So unfortunately we don't have liquor. We need liquor there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what is some of the things, because we only have like 5 minutes left, that I know you wanted to get to. You did a lot of research. I have more pages than I think I ever have. Well, and it just shows what a hot topic this is.
Oh yeah, it's interesting that the number one food additive is MSG. Mm-hmm. And it brings out flavor. What I find interesting is, there was this whole revolution against MSG, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago. It was called Chinese restaurant syndrome. People would think that they were having a reaction to the MSG and the Chinese food that people were cooking. And now if you look at Chinese takeout menus, it all starts with no MSG. We don't use MSG. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, there's a giant bag of MSG in the back of a lot of Chinese takeouts. What I find interesting is that...
But never any dogs.
Not in the area. I find it interesting, the fact that there is some possibility that people can develop a sensitivity to MSG. They'll get a headache. They'll get a little heart palpitation going on, but you don't hear about it in the Asian population, mm-hmm. where it is, it's the sixth, umami. It's like the sixth sense, or the sixth flavor or taste, and it's unto itself. But I didn't have a problem there. I did find that I found something that was interesting as I was doing this research, that today was the day in 1931 that down in Arcadia, down south, the Florida Products Company started selling canned rattlesnake.
Okay.
And by the 1940s, they were selling 15,000 cans a year at $1.25 a can. That was just a thing. Part of the problem with the food coloring and the food coloring additives is they started to be natural colors, and now they're basically a petroleum byproduct, coal tar and petroleum byproduct, and that's not good. But you can go crazy because it's like those colors are in Skittles, Doritos, Pop-Tarts, Gatorade, Lucky Charms, Tostito Quesos, Pillsbury Crescent Rolls I found interesting, and Little Debbie snack cakes, which is why I took the box of Nutty Buddy I had in the store in my pantry and looked. And the only thing that was there was, dextrose, which is a sweetener, the bioengineered wheat they're probably using. But then it was TBHQ, which I had to look up, which is tertiary butyhydroprone quinine. And that's just a stabilizer. Mm-hmm. Now, some of the food additives are not bad.
Nitrous seems to be a very common thing that I saw in the foods. It was it kept reoccurring.
Yeah,
in what I was looking at today.
Yeah, pre-1958, there was a concept that was things were presumed safe unless proven otherwise. Post-1958, the approval of safety was required in the EU. In the United States, not so much. 1976, the FDA banned red dye number 2 and number 4. So it was red dye number 2 was made from amaranth, which was an old world grain. It was the red color and it was a protein-rich grain. But they stopped using that and they used the petroleum byproducts and the coal tar, which is where things became problem. A lot of additives were used to extend shelf lives. A good one was actually Gargum, which is a thickener and a binder. It's a long-chain carbohydrate, which is in a lot of ice creams and a stabilizer there. And that actually helps digestion and it helps your health, your gut health. And that was the only additive that I found that had some potential positives to it.
Well, and I can tell you the one that I saw that made me scratch my head quite a bit. Was the glazing and polishing that they did for the different fruits and
the wax on, sure,
and some of those things, the pH levels that affected and how that affected it.
So you should wash your fruit.
Yeah, right. So thoroughly, and I can tell you, I'm not a guy who does that, but after doing my research,
I always wash our berries.
I am going to be changing my practice of that, and it's just incredible what's going in there. But getting back to the meats and the salt curing is actually one of the additives that is healthy for us.
Okay.
It's just because it keeps the botulism away. It keeps away a lot of those things. So like I said, of the stuff that I found out there that's safe, and people that kind of do the high meat diet type thing seem to be a little healthier. I'm wondering, with what I just researched, if that plays into the heavy protein diets.
If you're using hormone-free cows and beef, there's not a lot of additives that go into red meat. So you're better off that way as opposed to, anything that's, we eat way too much processed food as Americans. And that's the problem. If you're eating what they call clean, you're eating meats that are, things, it's when you see the E. coli and the salmonella problems with meat and ground beef in particular. It's when they take 2 or 3 different muscles or 2 or 3 different cows and they grind them together.
Yep.
If you're grinding meat from one cow or from one muscle, you're going to be fine.
It has absorbed most of whatever's bad for us within itself. Blake, did you have any luck with finding the vegetable stuff?
Yeah, let's see. So we have like apples here. So the apples generally last like 6 months after being harvested to go from a cold storage to shipping out. Let's see, for tomatoes.
But all it takes is one bad apple.
There you go. Thank you, Donnie.
Yeah, Donnie. But that's another one that the waxing, like I am a guy who will grab it and bite into an apple.
Yeah.
Make sure you're washing the apple before you bite into it.
I got something that's equally as weird. The little stickers that are on fruit?
Yeah.
And vegetables? That's edible.
Okay.
believe it or not. Now I peel them off. Take my word for it. I peel them off.
But actually also because some people might forget about it. It's like,
Right.
I accidentally ate the label. But actually,
on the peppers and on the avocados, but you're peeling the avocado. You're not eating avocado skin.
I've chopped them into salads before, and you go, that'll be
doesn't
fine.
matter. And it is. Yeah. And it is.
But actually, your Starburst that's in your coffee mug, the wrapper is edible as well.
Okay, I'm not going there, but that's fine. Go right ahead. High in fiber.
All right. What about? Did you get? What other veggies did you get? Because we're out of time.
Well, before we go, I have one thing to add. Yeah.
For lettuce, I said it usually takes like 2 weeks there to go from farm to store.
Okay, that's not terrible.
Yeah, they take them. Well, I'm gonna when I go to the market over the weekend, I'm gonna look at my next bag of lettuce I buy and see what the harvest date is and when I'm buying it. But they put it into immediately. They chill it immediately, and that helps as well. But ladies and gentlemen, and all our sports fans at home, we're going to be off on Monday for Memorial Day, and I want to bring up that it is going to be Memorial Day this weekend. Thank a veteran, support a veteran. I know Troy does so much for the veterans in this community, and that's fabulous. But it used to be Decoration Day, and now it morphed into Memorial Day, and thank an active service member, thank a retired service member, thank a veteran. We wouldn't be here, and Troy and I wouldn't be able to have our conversations, and I wouldn't be able to rail against the administration, and he have to defend it.
Yeah. And we do still love each other. So you guys that are thinking that we're out there, if only one of us is, if we always agree, then only one of us is thinking, and that doesn't help the world in any way, shape, or form. But next Wednesday is kind of our Veterans Day.
Oh my goodness, we are so looking forward to that.
We have Brandon Pattian, who's still active in the military.
In the morning, yep.
And he's our clerk of the court. And then in the evening, I'm really looking forward to Oscar talking about his time boots on the ground in Vietnam.
It's going to be fascinating.
And he did several tours there, saw some things that people shouldn't see. And
he's going to share those experiences as much as he's willing to take. We'll listen.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful, wonderful man, and we're really looking forward to having him in.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you in the morning show. I have the great Lenny Bozard.
That's tomorrow.
And tomorrow morning. And Lenny, you and I will be back on Tuesday.
Yep. We got a 4-day weekend. I'm excited.
Yep.
And we're barbecuing.
Bye, guys.